Stop scrolling. The M5 iPad Pro isn't a routine spec bump. It's the most meaningful leap Apple's tablet line has seen in years, and it's built to crush demanding workflows while still feeling effortless for everyday use. If you create, edit, code, study, illustrate, or just crave premium tech, this is the iPad Pro to pay attention to. Apple has packed in new silicon, smarter AI acceleration, faster memory, better connectivity, cleaner thermals, and serious display and I/O improvements that add up to a real-world difference. Before you hit buy or decide to wait, here's everything important in one comprehensive, CEO-friendly walkthrough of the M5 iPad Pro's biggest upgrades, what they mean in practice, and who should upgrade versus hold off. At the heart of the new model is Apple's M5 chip, and it's a powerhouse. Apple rates the CPU up to 15% faster and the GPU up to 45% faster than the previous generation, with real-world testing on base models showing about 12% gains in CPU and roughly 36% in GPU performance. Translation: graphics-heavy apps and Pro workflows feel snappier and more responsive. Procreate brushes track more fluidly across complex canvases. LumaFusion timelines scrub without stutter even under color-corrected 4K footage. And 3D work in Blender benefits from smoother viewport performance and quicker previews. This isn't about synthetic benchmarks alone. The uplift shows up in day-to-day tasks, from boot times to export speeds to game frame rates. If you're coming from an older iPad Pro, you'll feel the difference immediately. If you're coming from M1 or M4, the gains are real but more nuanced, especially if you're GPU-bound. AI is the other performance headline, and the M5's neural engine is a beast. It delivers a dramatic bump in peak AI compute versus the last gen, enabling real-time features that previously required cloud processing or desktop-class hardware. You'll notice it in smarter image selections and object isolation in Adobe Photoshop, accelerated AI video tools that handle background removal and scene relighting on the fly, and more responsive voice transcription and on-device generative features in creative apps. The key here is latency. With much more headroom, the M5 can run advanced models locally, so edits and effects apply faster and feel seamless in your flow. That's a win for privacy, mobility, and productivity. Memory matters, and Apple finally gives power users what they've been asking for. The base M5 iPad Pro now ships with 12GB of RAM in the 256GB and 512GB configurations, up from 8GB on M4. Step up to 1TB or 2TB and you get 16GB of RAM, which is where elite multitasking really unlocks. Running multiple Pro apps side by side becomes practical. Think a heavy Procreate project, a LumaFusion timeline, reference material in Safari, and your Files panel all live without background app reloads. Memory bandwidth climbs as well, from 120GB AS to 153GB S, meaning the CPU and GPU can feed on data faster. It's one of those invisible upgrades that makes everything feel more immediate, from swapping layers to caching previews to navigating giant photo libraries. Charging performance gets a welcome boost. While the previous model charged respectably, the M5 iPad Pro supports up to 60W input, reaching about 50% in roughly 30 minutes when used with Apple's recommended 40W dynamic power adapter. If you bounce between meetings, classes, shoots, or sets, that rapid top-up is clutch. You get more usable battery and less downtime, which matters when the iPad is your primary device, your teleprompter, your sketchbook, and your editing station all in one. Connectivity gets a generational overhaul courtesy of the new N1 wireless chip, which brings Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread support for smart home and low-power accessories. Wi-Fi 7 isn't just about peak throughput. It's about stability and lower latency under congestion, which pays off when you're moving huge files to a NAS, streaming high bitrate footage, or gaming online. The cellular models add the C1X chip for faster, more efficient 5G, so cloud workflows, remote collaboration, and video conferencing feel smoother and sip less power. Whether you're tethering in the field or editing from a coffee shop, the network experience is noticeably more reliable. Creators who live on external displays will appreciate a major quality-of-life upgrade. The M5 iPad Pro now outputs up to 120Hz to external monitors via Thunderbolt. That's double the 60Hz ceiling on the previous gen, and a big deal for anyone who edits, animates, designs, or games on a high-refresh external panel. Pair it with the iPad's own Liquid Retina XDR display, and you get a cohesive, pro-grade visual experience both on-device and docked. Apple's nano-textured glass option returns too, cutting reflections for those who work outdoors or under harsh lighting. It's available on the 1TB and 2TB models and adds $100 to the price, but if you're sketching on location or presenting in bright rooms, it's easily worth it. Storage tops out at 2TB again, but the internal SSD is faster this generation and you'll feel it. App launches snap, massive photo libraries load quicker, and transferring multi-gig video files doesn't drag. If you regularly bounce 4K or 8K assets between drives, work off external SSDs, or swap project archives, the improvements compound across your workflow. It's one of those upgrades that won't scream in a spec sheet but reduces friction every time you sit down to work. Accessory support is thoughtfully modernized. The M5 iPad Pro works with Apple Pencil Pro and the USB-C Apple Pencil, but it drops compatibility with the second-generation Apple Pencil due to changes in magnetic placement. If you're upgrading from an older iPad and rely on that accessory, plan accordingly. On the charging front, regional differences remain. In the United States, Apple includes a 20W USB-C charger in the box. In Europe and the UK, you'll find only the cable, consistent with Apple's ongoing environmental approach. It's not the most exciting change, but it's better to know before checkout than after unboxing. The hardware itself is honed in subtle but impactful ways. The chassis is slightly thinner, the internal heat management is improved, and speaker placement is optimized for a more immersive stereo field. The net effect is an iPad Pro that looks and feels premium, runs cooler under sustained load, and sounds fuller for both entertainment and professional audio work. Whether you're mixing a podcast, cutting a rough video edit with temp audio, or just binging a series, the difference is audible and welcome. On the software side, iPadOS continues maturing to meet the M5's capabilities. Expect enhanced multitasking that makes side-by-side app use more predictable, smarter AI features that leverage the neural engine for on-device enhancements, better file management for large projects, and next-gen display calibration tools that improve color accuracy across workflows. The real story is synergy. The OS taps into the M5's compute and memory headroom, so pro apps feel less like mobile versions and more like the real thing. If you're juggling reference material, note-taking, editing, and exports, the experience is smoother and more stable than before. One easily overlooked but important upgrade is sustained SSD read and write speeds that rival higher-end MacBook models. In practical terms, big project files move faster, caches rebuild more quickly, and background assets populate without making the UI hitch. Combine that with refined thermal performance, meaning the M5 can hold peak speeds longer without throttling, and you get more consistent performance over extended sessions. Long renders, extended sketching marathons, and intensive photo culling are less likely to bog down. Cameras don't steal the spotlight, but they do step up where it matters. Both front and rear systems get better low-light performance, faster autofocus, and more capable computational photography. That's great for content creators capturing BTS clips, scanning documents, demoing products on video calls, or shooting reference photos for later edits. With the neural engine's help, you'll also see cleaner edge detection and smarter subject separation across creative apps that tap into the camera feed. Value is where the conversation gets nuanced. The M5 iPad Pro sits at a premium price point, and once you factor in a Magic Keyboard and Apple Pencil, certain configurations can cost more than a MacBook Air. That doesn't automatically make it a bad deal, just a decision that hinges on your workflow. If you need tablet mobility, touch and pencil input, an incredible display, and desktop-adjacent performance in a single device, the M5 iPad Pro makes a compelling case as your main creative machine. If your work leans on traditional desktop software without tablet advantages, a laptop might still be the smarter buy. So, who should upgrade? If you're coming from 2018-era iPad Pro models or anything older, the jump in performance, RAM, display capabilities, connectivity, and storage speed is transformative. You'll feel a night-and-day difference in everything from boot times to export speeds to how many apps you can keep open. If you're on M1, you'll see meaningful gains in GPU-bound tasks, AI features, and memory-heavy multitasking, especially if you move to 12GB or 16GB configurations. If you're on M4, weigh the benefits of Wi-Fi 7, 120Hz external display output, faster SSDs, higher memory bandwidth, better thermals, and camera improvements against the cost. For some pro workflows, those quality-of-life gains are absolutely worth it, while casual users may be fine waiting another cycle. What ultimately makes the M5 iPad Pro special is balance. You get raw power where it counts, smarter AI acceleration that reduces friction in creative tasks, faster memory and storage that keep your flow moving, modernized wireless that's ready for the next few years, and thoughtful hardware tweaks that refine the experience without adding bulk. Pair that with optional nano-textured glass for glare control, Thunderbolt for high-bandwidth I/O, and a maturing iPad OS that better respects pro workflows, and you've got one of the best professional tablets you can buy in 2025. If you live in Procreate, LumaFusion, Photoshop, Blender, or other demanding apps, or you just want a premium device that won't flinch when your projects scale up, the M5 iPad Pro isn't just an upgrade. It's a strategic investment in speed, flexibility, and creative freedom.